Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 2 of season 2 of DuckTales. So yeah, we're back. It's been a couple weeks, unfortunately, since we got to the first episode. But we're back, and I'm excited to see what more we've got in store. So apparently, I believe in the first episode reaction, or well, the redirect, I mentioned that it was like the second season had just ended, but apparently I was wrong. From what I've been told, the second season, like the first half of it had just ended, and that there's still a second half to the season, currently airing or something like that. Um, if you guys can correct me on that or whatnot, clarify, yeah. And I guess it just goes along with the already ridiculous release schedule of a lot of shows nowadays. But last time was an episode that was pretty separated from any kind of major storyline. While it mentioned Della Duck and everything, the triplets' mother, um, and all of that jazz, it's like it didn't go into any big story stuff. It was mostly centered around Louis, I believe it was. Sometimes I do get them mixed up. Louis kind of feeling inadequate because the others have their thing. Like Huey is the smart one who is always like great with just being able to, you know, analyze everything and plan everything out. While Dewey is great working alongside Webby. They have this just strong connection. And Louis finds out in the episode that he's actually he can recognize patterns throughout all of their adventures and stuff. And with some motivation from Scrooge, he realizes he could put that to use and actually make something of it, actually become something using it. So it had a really good message, and I really like where it went with all of that. There was also this like kind of B plot centering around these like tiny, uh, for lack of a better word, people living in the mansion, um, and with un unplanned assistance from the inventor guy, whose name I cannot remember, they almost took over. But Louis had to help plan things out and strategize to be able to win the day. And he did. And it worked out well. There was a lot of fun game related stuff because they had a game night. Um, they played charades and stuff. And we see that Scrooge and Donald, even though they have issue with each other, can work together extremely well. And that was another kind of message the episode talked about. It's like sometimes like you don't need to be the most connected person to be able to work with someone. And I understand the message with that. It's like you don't have to like be best friends with someone to be able to work well with them. And sure, I guess that's fair. Um, but it definitely helps. Let's be honest. It definitely helps a lot if you're on good terms with someone because you'll automatically have that connection to be able to, you know, work well together. You'll be able to understand each other better. I mean, yeah, sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes you can just work extremely well together, even if you're not really like close at all. But I don't know, it just seems like that's a little weird because it's kind of giving this message that you can pretty much basically that you can hate each other and you should still be able to work well together. When I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like, well, one, you shouldn't be forced to work with people you can't stand for one reason or another because it leads to a toxic work environment. And two, that would definitely affect your work ethic. Like, I'm sorry, but your work ethic would be affected by working with someone who you don't like, especially if it's mutual between you. I don't know. maybe I'm just speaking from personal experiences here of working with people who I couldn't stand, whether in like actual job related stuff, like when I worked at Wendy's, or just doing work otherwise in one way or another. But still, yeah, it's just maybe it's just my own experiences that have left me feeling that way, but it just feels a little off to me. Like I get what it was going for, but it just feels off. Um, but that being said, I'm excited to see where this goes because apparently, even with Magica gone, I've been told there is a legitimate villain to this season. That they do go into that there is like some big plot to things. That there is a legitimate enemy. And I'm wondering exactly what they're going to do with that. So that should be pretty interesting to find out. Um, I, I mentioned last time the very, very few things that I did know, such as Darkwing Duck is going to be in here some point. But I am still mostly blind to this season, and I wish to keep it that way. So please, no spoilers. Um, but yeah, this should be fun. We are only doing one episode at a time for now, just to save time and stuff. It just works out the best. I know there's like a lot of episodes for the season. I'm sure like probably it's probably going to be like somewhere in the 20s, I would assume. But yeah, it's still probably the best. There might be some point where I might marathon a few episodes, but I can't promise that. We'll just have to take it as it comes. So yeah, either way, we're just going to get on with this and hope for the best for episode 2. So, that being said, let's just get on with it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Excuse me. Resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in once again, and for now, I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so I'm going to be honest about something. This episode really did hit me on an emotional level. But it didn't really start to hit me until near the end. And I want to explain why. It's really the main message of this episode. That it's okay to be weird. That it's okay to be different. To be a little strange. To be out of the ordinary. Unconventional. Whatever word you want to use. That not everybody's going to be like someone that would fit into your view of normalcy. You're going to see people as odd or unique or unorthodox. You're going to see them as just weird. And we need to get rid of the stigma in our world that weird is automatically bad, that weird is something to look down upon. Because some of the weirdest, wildest people in this world have changed it for the better. You want to know what's weird? Putting yourself in mortal danger to catalog, study, and befriend wild animals. But Steve Irwin did it. You know what's weird? Weird is just using experiences and memories of bugs. Bugs. To create one of the world's greatest video game franchises of all time. Tajiri Satoshi created Pokemon. It's weird, but it's great. People have done weird things. People have been weird and done amazing things because of it. Things you wouldn't automatically expect to change this world. Whether on the level of Steve Irwin changing it in a positive way for the environment and for animals, or in the way that Satoshi Tajiri did, and changing the world from a gaming standpoint, from a pop culture standpoint. Weird people have changed history. Weird people have written history. And I'm someone who many would consider weird. I'm autistic. I have multiple mental disorders. I don't act or think or believe a lot of the same things as many other people. There's a lot that even I find weird about myself. But instead of looking down on myself or others looking down on me, positivity is what needs to be shown here. I need to show positivity towards myself and believe in myself and accept myself for who I am. And it's a lesson I struggle with even to this day, and still have to deal with people, just for lack of a nicer way to put it, being assholes towards me. I mean, can you imagine the amount of dirty looks I've been given for wearing cosplays in public? I got some really weird glances when I was wearing my outfit during Motor City Pride and just walking through downtown Detroit outside of the Pride event and everything. There were people who gave me some weird looks. And that's going to keep happening, and I understand that. But it's episodes of shows like this, and a lot of other shows in general, that tell us that it's okay to be weird and different. If people can't see beyond that and can't see you for who you are and can't accept you for who you are, then fuck them. They're not worth your time. And you have to learn to get past those prejudices as well. Believe me, I throughout my life have looked at so many fucking people as being weird and unusual and crazy and all kinds of stuff that I really wish I could take back. There was a time before I came out as LGBT in any way where I was extremely bigoted towards people who were gay, who were trans. And I was extremely terrible. And I would constantly view them as weird or abnormal or just dumb or whatever. And I hate that I did. But obviously I've moved past that. And because of my own experiences, I've been able to see people in general in a new way and been able to accept a lot more people than I ever have before. And I'm proud of that. This episode just gives such a positive message about just accepting that some people aren't going to be the same as you, that they're going to be weird, and that that's okay. again, sometimes the weirdest people are the ones who change this world for the better, are the ones who make a difference, are the heroes we look up to. So just never look down on those who are weird or strange or unusual, because you have no idea what they're going to do. You have no idea if you one day will look up to them and see them as one of the greatest people in our world. But let's actually talk about the rest of the content of the episode. So, Dewey is looking for adventure, and he and Huey hear about this cousin named Feathery, who's a little crazy, a little kooky, and a little weird. They end up answering his call and tricking Launchpad into stealing the sub so they can go on an adventure and find out what's going on. And when they do, they find out that his call about new discoveries in the ocean was just about krill glowing in rainbow colors. They're disappointed after finding this out, though prior to this, Huey was having a lot of fun discovering new things, and Dewey was kind of bored out of his mind. Feathery himself, voiced by Tom Kenny, is a really just wacky, unique, kooky dude. But he's completely harmless. He's a fun, nice guy. He knows very well about stuff in the ocean, not just even krill, which he specifically works with, even despite not actually being a scientist himself. It's not just krill, but he knows a lot about these other creatures and stuff too, and has been doing his own studies basically without even being a scientist, just being a janitor basically. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. So in the end, they end up getting attacked by this giant sea monster, which appears to have been mutated by these toxic vents down at the bottom of the ocean. But they realize that the sea monster is actually one of Feathery's old krill, and that he was mutated and just became massive, basically. Huey sings to him, and they get him to help bring them safely up to shore. And Feathery decides he wants to actually be a scientist now and heads off to figure it out. It was a really cute, really fun episode. Yeah, again, just like the first episode, it really didn't connect to any big story elements, but it was a good episode in and of itself. In and of its own secluded story, it worked really well. It was funny. It was entertaining. Feathery was a very cool character. I really did enjoy him. I liked just the kind of growth we got with Dewey in here, because throughout a lot of the episode, Dewey is making fun of Huey for being weird and being unorthodox and whatnot. And when they meet Feathery, he's even comparing the two, like noting how they're both weird and stuff. But by the end, he says that you're weird and that's okay. And he accepts his brother for who he is, because he loves his brother. I mean, that much is very obvious. So, the first episode of this season was very Louie focused. This one had a good focus on both Huey and Dewey. So, maybe we're going to get a Webby episode coming up, or maybe one that's more focused on Scrooge or Donald, or even, yeah, one of the other minor characters in the mansion. There's a lot of options here, and I feel like we've really just started to scratch the surface with what we could do with these characters. Season 1 did things very well, but there's so much more room for growth and character development throughout another whole season. And I'm excited to find out what we're going to tackle. because, yeah, these first two episodes have given me a lot of hope and hype for this season. Um, and I'm hoping we get more episodes like this one that have a really good, strong message to them, delivered in a believable and just really nice way. I also want to hear, of course, more guest voices. Like Tom Kenny, he's a voice actor in general. He does this kind of stuff for a living. But it's like with season one, you remember how we had Tara Strong and Andrea Libman playing the Kelpies? Like, I want to see more of that. Like, big name, even voice actors, yes, but ones who you wouldn't normally see in a series like this. Because let's be honest, Andrea and Tara playing the Kelpies was a very obvious My Little Pony reference. I mean, duh. uh, and that's great. It's a fun reference, but it's like some big names within the animated community these days. So yeah, I want to see more of that, or even like big celebrities would be fun. I mean, we've already got the likes of Lin-Manuel Miranda, but we could have some big names like Weird Al. Weird Al does a lot of voice acting roles these days. What if we had him in an episode? I don't think he was in season one, but I might be wrong. I don't think he was. Yeah, but he would be really good for this. I could definitely see him playing a fun character. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. As always, no spoilers. Do not spoil me on anything. I wish to remain spoiler free. But I'm excited. This episode and last episode definitely got me interested to see what more they can pull off with this season. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, there might be some point where I do multiple episodes a week, but for right now, we're sticking with the one. We'll see where that goes in the future, but I think it's just the best idea right now. Um, but in the meantime, tell me down in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what's next. So, thank you all so much for tuning in.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.